What's poppin', everybody? Hello and welcome to Popcorn Culture. My name is Ben Carlin and I am your host. Here with me today is my brother Jay, who will be in every episode.
The plush hostiest with the plush mostiest.
I'll give it to you 1,000.
I get to be plush host.
You get to be plush host.
I don't wanna like brag or anything, but the plush trophy is just a little bit taller.
Wow.
Just a little bit taller.
You would go there, just like you.
Just like me.
It's like, wow, are you two
taller.
brothers? Yes, but I'm taller.
Yeah. We're obviously brothers. I am taller. I know.
For clarity. For clarity. So as a quick reminder, just as we kick off today's episode, we do have the brand new piece of our quarterly merch option over on Patreon.
Yes.
This is at the buzziest B and jazziest J tiers.
That is correct. Yep.
Oh, sorry. I was going to say, where each quarter we design a new exclusive piece of Popcorn Culture merch. This go round, we have a plushie that is in the exact form of our one true host, Popcorn Cup. And it is soft, it is snuggly, it is delightful, and it is only available to the end of June.
That is right. So if you want a Popcorn Culture plush, head over to patreon.com/popcornculture, where not only can you secure your own plush One True Host trophy, but you can help decide who is in fact the one true host of Popcorn Culture, whether you sign up for Buzziest B or Jazziest J or any tier at all. Whatever tier you sign up for casts a vote for who is the one true host.
There you go. Patreon.com/popcornculture. Anyway, today, as we head into what I believe is going to be an incredibly riveting episode, I need to tell you about how much I hate marshmallows.
Oh, I saw you wrote something about marshmallows are not the best thing in the world in the notes, and I have to say, right out of the gate, I totally agree.
Right.
I mean,
like, what a remarkably overrated confectionery.
It is. Look, I do not. When people, even as a kid, it seemed like everyone and their mom loved marshmallows. Like, it sometimes even at school, like the teachers would use like sweets as bribes. You know, like, oh yeah, everyone calm down. Maybe everyone get a marshmallow. Or like, hey, guess what? I got you guys some treats. I left you some marshmallows or something.
I know. It's like, for me, it was like disappointment.
Like, who wants a marshmallow?
I would rather have raisins, and I don't even like raisins.
I would definitely rather have raisins, and I like raisins.
Okay, well, yours is less helpful because you like raisins.
Yeah.
So, but no, okay. So here's the thing. Like, this is kind of like my grand sweeping question. So, I mean, on the one, there is, of course, s'mores. Delicious hot schmoes.
Oh yes, you get yourself a nice graham, a nice brown, and a nice schmello, right? Schmallow.
I like to say, like, really enunciate the mallow.
The schmallow. Yeah, you put those three things together, you have a s'more. It is more than the sum of its parts. You know?
Yes, it is synergy.
Yes,
it is synergy. Yeah. So. That's the thing. And like, even s'mores, though, are kind of one of these things that I feel like there was an era of my life where if s'mores were on the table, then it was like, yes. It's like, pave the way for me to burn some mallows and mash them on top of my s'more.
Yeah.
But I will say that as much as I do enjoy a good s'more, which I would argue is effectively the only good way to eat a marshmallow that hasn't been maybe like cooked or baked into something, or maybe hot chocolate, like eating it in closest. It's like, this is the question. Who likes a raw marshmallow?
Who likes a raw marshmallow?
Because that's precisely what it is. And the funny thing too is that, like, when I was a kid, I would take like the Lucky Charms box, I would empty the whole thing out, and I would sort all of the marshmallows of different colors.
And then throw them in the garbage?
No, I would put them. Mom had these cow bowls.
Yeah.
They were like small bowls that had like cow prints.
I remember the cow bowls, Ben.
Mom was
I'm pretty sure we still have the cow.
She was protective of those cow bowls.
Oh, for sure. We had a lot of, and I think there was matching cow spoons.
Yeah, we had all the cow stuff.
Yeah, we had all the cow stuff.
We were covered.
Yeah.
So anyway, though, but like, I liked the marshmallows that came inside of cereals.
Well, this is the grand misdirect, is that the marshmallows in Lucky Charms aren't marshmallows, okay? They are masquerading as marshmallows. And people will always, if you bring up marshmallows, like, what about Lucky Charms? And you're like, that's not the same food. If you think those giant puffy things you would never make a s'mores and put Lucky Charm marshmallows in it.
Although, I mean, it sounds awesome.
Look, that's a different
and
food, and I'm sure
fun.
It would be amazing. And you could come up with a fun lucky s'mores or something, right?
Hearts, stars, and horseshoes, clovers, and moons, pots of gold, and rainbows and the red balloons.
Yeah, you got it.
Did I get
Nailed
it? Yay!
Yeah.
Okay, good. I feel like breakfast cereal was heavily and aggressively advertised to us as children.
I think it still is heavily and aggressively marketed to children. It's just that it's we're not children, so we don't see it anymore.
That's entirely possible.
But it's down
yes.
there.
But it's funny because breakfast cereal, like within the context of commercials, I'm gonna come back to Marshmallows, don't
Yeah.
you worry.
Oh, yeah.
But breakfast cereal, like there are only commercials, it feels like, for such a limited number of things. It feels like other products have found better ways to advertise than like the mainstream television commercials, but there's like insurance, it's like
Yeah.
when it comes to insurance, it's kind of like, are they all effectively the same thing? And it's just kind of like when you buy a car and you're like, oh, I need insurance. What's the first thing that comes to mind? Geico. Okay, I'll get Geico.
That's exactly what they want.
Yes,
Yeah.
exactly. So it's like the sheer amount of advertisement is not even for like a variation in the product in most cases. It's
Right.
just quite literally like which one comes to brain. And what else is like this? There's beer, I feel like.
Sure.
Has
Lots of
commercials.
beer commercials.
Automobiles have commercials, and I feel like that's probably a very similar one where it's kind of like, what is the car that like has found you the most?
Yeah.
And they're
it's like the things that have success advertising on TV are things that you basically have to have.
right.
Like,
yes,
and
yes,
so-
that's a good point.
right.
Yeah. So what all they're
Not-
fighting for is
Right. And I don't mean that you have to have beer. I would say you have to have beverages,
sure,
more
sure.
or less. I
So
mean, you can just live off water too.
right. Yeah. So it's the idea of like when it comes to these essential things, which one do you go and track down? But like, when was the last time you saw a commercial for a wakeboard?
Oh, yeah.
Like arguably never. No,
Right.
you have never seen because wakeboard companies have never needed to advertise on television before. But so anyway, I think it's very interesting that these breakfast cereals are one of those things, and it seemed like as a kid they always had these like the gags that were running like forever and ever and ever. Like what was the Cookie Crisp?
Cookie Crisp.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's like nobody says Cookie Crisp. It even felt wrong when I said it.
Yeah.
It was like that was a cereal that was incredibly well advertised because the argument was like, it's like you have a bowl full of chocolate chip
You have a
cookies.
bowl of cookies.
It's like, who doesn't like milk and cookies? Everybody likes milk and cookies. But you want to know what the unfortunate reality is that they don't taste like cookies.
Right.
It was oh man, I don't know if I've been more disappointed with anything in my entire life than my first bowl of Cookie Crisp and the
Sorry,
discovery that it wasn't as good, other than maybe Marshmallows. I'm back.
there
I'm
we're back. We got there.
We got full circle. So yeah, this was the thing. So I was looking into it, into the mallow.
You were
as
like
it
trying
were.
to discover the origin of its terribleness.
Yeah, well, I was trying to discover like just its origins in general. Like what was because I can't imagine that like someone was like, hey, we need something we could roast over campfires. Let's go see if we can make a puffy piece of sugar, and
Right.
so
Like the marshmallow existed, and then they had to find uses for it.
right, exactly. And so here's my thought though, is I was like, I've always assumed that marshmallows were jet puffed. So like similar to like a puffed Cheeto or a Funyun.
Yeah. Okay. Are they not? Isn't that literally the name brand of marshmallow, like Jet Puff marshmallows?
Well, and maybe that's the exact reason why I thought they were jet puffed.
Okay.
But in
I'm
fact,
thinking of that packaging. It's like clear, but it's got like a blue and an orange and a red stripe.
is there a green in there? I thought
Maybe there's a green.
I think there's a green.
Yeah.
Interestingly, that you bring up manufacturers of marshmallows.
Yeah.
Okay, so back in the 50s, there was like 35 plus manufacturers. Now, present day, there are only 3.
Only 3 have stood so the good news there is that the demand for marshmallows clearly is not high enough to support 36 companies.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Well, it's or it's like one of these odd like situations where there's like it's very dangerously close to like a monopoly, but maybe like the 3 manufacturers of the mallows are all like 33%. So it's like nobody has like edged out to the point where they've like become problematic by having their like corner of the market.
I see. So maybe these 3 Big Puff, as it were,
Big Puff.
have absorbed the rest and made themselves even puffier.
Even puffier, exactly.
Yeah.
Which is probably the case because it seems like marshmallows have grown in time.
It does.
They've gotten even like quite larger. But so, okay, this is what I found to be very interesting. So like in my mind though, it's like, okay, the jet puffing technology that feels like modern technology. It feels like somewhere in baking, someone realized that you could take like a meringue, which is like egg whites and sugar, and it makes like a marshmallowy type of substance. It's like, it's very thick. It's part of like a macaroon recipe.
Right.
It's like
Okay.
what the cookies are made out of. So I in my head, I'm like, okay, this is like an advanced piece of culinary technology. Not true at all.
No.
Marshmallows have been around since 2000 BC.
Whoa.
Yes.
What? Nearer to the Ice Age than many things.
Nearer to, yes, marshmallows
Right.
are closer to the Ice Age than automobiles
Wow.
by a long shot.
Okay, so making them must be just easy as schmellows then.
Well, easier than...
I was going to say easy as pie, but clearly they predated pie.
Right, yes. I know, right, yeah. Who's saying easy as pie when you could be saying
Easy as marshmallow.
Easy as marshmallows. It's catching on. It's catching on.
People are saying it in the comments right now, probably. It's spreading.
Maybe.
Tweet it, easy as marshmallows.
Easy as marshmallows because it is more correct than easy as pie. No, but also kind of not the case. So this goes back to like the ancient Egyptians where there's quite literally a plant called the marshmallow.
Oh, real? Oh, is it like from a marsh?
It's like I
Like
believe
from a bog?
it is from like a...
Are we
like,
eating bog sweets? I'm not because I don't like them. But
right, except for on s'mores.
Yeah.
Yeah, in a way we are.
Wow.
So they like
Wow.
damp and sandy, like soily environments, and that is where this particular thing comes from. And so back in the day,
what I'm hearing, Ben, is that marshmallows are the swamp farts of the sweet world.
they quite literally,
Okay.
quite literally,
I'm glad we
yes,
said it out
indeed.
loud.
Right, I know. Yeah, now we're covered.
The next time you eat a marshmallow, just know that that's like a physical swamp fart.
Right.
Yeah.
Yes. Which, if you've seen the movie Brave, the little will-o-wisps that she chases into the woods, those are in fact real things, and they are like the exuding of gases that are flammable from swampy areas.
Yeah.
From like decay.
Yeah,
It's like-
basically.
so-
and people see the flame and they're like, wait, what on earth was that?
Was that a
And then
magical?
it keeps coming on. You're like, I have to go investigate that. And then you head into the bog and the bog kills you because swamps are just dangerous places.
Yeah. Don't play in swamps.
Yeah, don't play in swamps.
Don't play in swamps unless you're collecting for marshmallows.
Tell me about the marshmallow plant.
Okay. So what I first found completely and utterly mind-blowing is the fact that the plant itself is literally where the name comes from. Like they are called marshmallows because there is a plant called a marshmallow.
Okay.
Like, and that's it. But marshmallows it's like one of those words. I keep teetering between mallow and mellow. Have you heard? Have you noticed
You've
that?
gone back and forth a few times.
I can't decide.
Yeah.
It's like Pirates of the Caribbean, but then I also say Caribbean.
Yeah.
And it's like, why do I say Pirates of the Caribbean? But I do. So that's it. So anyway, I can't decide on how I feel about mallow versus mellow. So I'm using
Mallows,
both.
right.
But it's like a word that almost like when you see what it is, like when you see what a marshmallow is, you're like, oh, of course. Like it is its name. You know, like to know the name of a marshmallow, you would just be able to like, and I'm speaking in name of the wind terms here.
Yeah.
Like the true name of marshmallow is marshmallow.
Okay, so like the marshmallow plant like looks like a marshmallow?
No. You're misunderstanding entirely. Gosh.
I'm sorry.
Keep up with me here. What I'm trying to say is that like I think that marshmallow is a very, very good word for what the end product is.
Okay.
Like for
Okay.
whatever reason, it's like it looks like how it sounds.
Okay, yes, that sounds right.
Does that make sense?
It does.
But when in reality, it's like this little green sprig of a plant that has like sugary glucose syrup in its stem.
Okay.
And in the early days of the mallow, it was made like it was harvested primarily for like medication.
Oh.
And so it was still like a sweet treat at that point in time, but you would be making like a single marshmallow. Like you wouldn't be like making like a whole jet puffed bag.
Right,
You would
yeah.
just have like you made a marshmallow.
Okay.
So again, going back to Brave, it's almost like how the witch makes her like a small pie, you know,
Yeah.
and it's like all this process for like the one single pie. That's all it yields. One. But yeah, so that was the thing, and it was reserved for only like kings and gods, basically.
And they got the marshmallows.
They were the ones who could be
Wow.
treated with marshmallows.
What a disappointing treat. You work your way all the way up to king, and this is what you get.
Right, I know. Yeah,
Marshmallows.
It's like, are you kidding me? This is so boring. Anyway, this continues to be the case basically until the middle of the 19th century, when marshmallows finally catch on as like more of a drugstore candy that you may go and purchase at that point in time.
Yeah.
But even before that, like as we were entering, into the more modern age where there was more medicine and stuff, even then marshmallows were still exclusively made for medicinal purposes, but not itself being the medicine, but being the vehicle for consuming the medicine.
I see.
So I guess before like gel caps existed as like a pill, it was supposed to make it more manageable to consume the medicine, which otherwise tasted badly.
That makes sense, I guess.
Well, it makes sense except for the fact that what do you use marshmallows for? And would you have ever considered the fact that it originally was medicinal?
I can imagine. I will say about marshmallows that at least they taste better than medicine.
They do.
So I can see where you were like, oh, if the option was just chewing that chalky stuff there, this might be a good vehicle to help it go down.
Yeah.
But that's about I can see why I can even see why it didn't catch on for a long time, because people were like, okay, yeah, maybe it often associate it with medicine, or like this is good for this purpose. Like, it's not something I would choose to eat, but it's something that does help me take medicine.
That's a very reasonable way to look at it, I think, is exactly that. It's kind of like, okay, it's not what I would choose as like my treat for the end of the day, but this isn't bad given the circumstances, because I need to take medicine and this makes the medicine taste better. So anyway, the final thing that I learned is I've always been under the assumption that there was like a giant machine that took this kind of like a sticky mess of a resin and like shot it through or dehydrated it or something.
Yeah.
And instead, you can even make marshmallows at home. There's like recipes for homemade marshmallows.
Oh, really?
Yes. And so now I'm like, it's ridiculous, because I started on this quest with the one note for today's episode was, I don't like marshmallows.
Okay.
And by the end of it, I was like, I kind of want to try to make.
Now you want to make them.
I want to make my own marshmallows and see if they're good. But then I was also thinking ahead to like the day whenever in the future, like that, like my daughter had her friends over and we were making s'mores, and it was like, I whipped up a batch of marshmallows homemade.
Whipped them up.
Just for the occasion.
There you go. See, that would be fun. And again, you're using them for s'mores, which is one of the, I think, 4 acceptable uses of marshmallows.
You got 4 s'mores.
I got 4, yeah. So 1, obviously s'mores.
Right, of course.
Yeah, then you have hot chocolate. We mentioned it.
Yep, that very reasonable as well. Although I would say that I do very much prefer the small hardened marshmallows that you can put in hot chocolate to like getting a bag of small jet puffed marshmallows and putting them in my hot chocolate.
I agree with you
because
there.
they just end up being chewy.
Yeah. That's fine.
Yeah.
I see what you're saying.
Yeah.
3, Rice Krispie treats.
Well said.
Yeah.
Well
Again,
said.
that's more like you've morphed the marshmallow out of itself.
You have, and at this point in time, you're using its ability to be sticky to its advantage.
Yeah.
Whereas typically I would say that the other huge drawback of s'mores themselves is the fact that your hands are going to be sticky for 3 days.
That's true.
After consuming a single
Probably.
s'more. Yes. Yeah. So okay, I can stick with that. Yeah,
Yep.
Quite literally.
Aha. Nice. And then 4, I will give it to just straight roasted marshmallow.
Okay.
Just right off the stick, but over the fire. Like, regular marshmallows are terrible, but if you give it the roast, I think that's pretty good.
So what is your method for roasting? Because this seems to be like a highly personalized thing. Like, plenty of people are team just catch the darn thing on fire.
Those people are dead wrong, Ben. They're dead wrong.
Oh dear, strong opinions about weak things.
Strong opinion about weak thing. Look, if you want a good roasted marshmallow, what you want to do is, first of all, you don't want to aim for the big flames, right? You want to wait until the point of the night where you've got a nice hot bed of coals going down there.
Sure.
Nice hot bed. So, because once you get in the flames, it's going to catch fire. It's just going to happen.
Yeah.
Then you want to find a spot where you can nestle it above the hot flames and just spin, and you have to keep a very careful eye on it. Wait for it to get that even brown golden coating on it, and then that's it. Then you're there.
Okay. See, I do agree with you to the tune of like, that is, in my mind, the ideal marshmallow, because I think of marshmallows like chicken. Like chicken, with a steak, you can order a rare steak, and part of the idea is that like it is consumed at its best. Well, at least maybe like by like a someone who knows what they're talking about. Standard is, I think a medium rare steak is supposed to be like the benchmark for premier steaks. But this is not the case with chicken. Like you don't order like a medium rare chicken.
No, you want a well cooked chicken.
Exactly. And so I think that this is exactly the same thing when it comes to marshmallows. It's like you need to have roasted it long enough that it is like quite literally well done by like a steak's standard, if that makes sense.
I see what
like thoroughly cooked through.
You want it all the way cooked through, but for the outer shell to still have the lightest bit of crunch.
Well, yes, yeah.
Yeah, you don't want it to be any bit of the fluffy texture you started with.
Right. And so here's where the big question is for team Catch the Darn Thing on Fire is I feel like you do accelerate the process, and somehow, some way, I really don't even think that like burnt marshmallow tastes like other things that have been burnt.
I agree. The problem with burning it is that what you have is like a really, really hot outer layer surrounded by, but the middle is still got that like poofy fluffiness to it, which is no good.
It depends on how long you let it burn, which like one of the things about me growing up as a kid that I loved about Catching Them on Fire is that it was the closest you could get to like a torch that like a character in like a movie or a TV show might have, where they light it and they've just got this like beacon of light that is like a flickering flame on the end of like a cudgel.
Yeah, hard to do that in real life.
It is, unless you have a marshmallow, in which case you can have a very short-lived version of it.
I see.
Yeah. So like if you were entering into like a very small cave and you had a marshmallow, then you could probably make it like 11 steps.
Okay, there you
safely.
go.
Yeah.
Right. It feels like a game of Breath of the Wild.
Right.
Yeah. Light your lantern. You can go about 10 steps.
That's it.
Yep.
You better get to the next lantern.
Better get to the next lantern to get some more oil or something.
There you go.
Yeah.
There you go. Anyway, so moving on from mallows though, the other thing that I have going on right now in my own personal life. Well, it's a couple of things. One of them is this whole world. We're taking like a total right-hand turn into like no man's land. Okay. I like very, very briefly. This is like a query to like loft out there.
Okay.
There is a financial avenue that I have been like having fun experimenting with, which is the world of cryptocurrency.
Oh boy.
Which feels like a meme. Like it feels like if you are at a party and bring up cryptocurrency, like you are the guy at the party who brings up cryptocurrency.
It falls into the same category of things people don't like hearing you talk about with like Dungeons and Dragons and fantasy football. You know, it's like people like when it's fun to talk about those things with the other people you're playing it with.
It's true.
And it's so much fun doing the thing with those people that you want to talk about it with everyone. But somehow, like how Tom Brady did last weekend for your fantasy team is far less interesting to people not in your league.
Well, and I think that it also can be the case too that there are certain topics where you might not know that much about it, but like it's like the not knowing about it is part of the fun. So like maybe you don't know as much as I know about marshmallows, and I can talk to you about it for 20 minutes because I've done research, you know, and it's like the not knowing portion of it is like what makes that bit of communication fun.
Okay.
You know, it's like I'm delivering you information.
Yeah.
It feels like with cryptocurrency, it's like one of these things that it's like if you talk to people about it and they don't know anything about it, then it is not like as you explain it to them. For one, it's kind of confusing.
Sure.
And also
now what is it? What is it? They mine it? When people say they're mining it, what does that mean?
To this day, I still can't answer that question. Surely someone can. But you also get into like the concept of money. This is like the number one thing that I feel like
this is frequently where crypto.
Yeah. It's like why is your dollar bill worth anything? Explain that to me.
Yeah.
But what is somebody gonna do with a dollar bill? It's just paper. It's perception. That's the reason that people believe it's valuable.
Yeah.
And it's like, that is like the smallest argument that people can make. And yet I'll also fall victim to it because it's just like, I always do find it to be slightly interesting that we put so much stock into these like green sheets of paper.
Right.
Stock is almost a pun.
Almost.
Although, so here's the thing though, is that like several years ago, and this is like sort of like my love-hate relationship with it, is that Bitcoin had been this thing forever that was just worth like next to nothing. Like I remember my early Diablo 2 days, the forum that I was on quite literally used it as like a method to purchase items from one another.
Okay.
So it was sort of like a nonsensical currency that was just like a little bit easier to manage than the items themselves, which may have like kind of arbitrary values depending on how much you might need something.
Yeah.
So like I could have like a very special armor and you might not need an armor, but it's like, well, it is worth this much. So it's just like anything. It's the reason that we have dollars instead of the barter system.
Exactly. It was the natural course of evolving away from the barter system.
Right. So, and at this point in time, what people would be doing is they would be buying the Bitcoin on the forum and then they would be exchanging the Bitcoin to others for these things. But it was like, I don't know, you could buy, throwing out random numbers, it was like many Bitcoin per dollar.
Right.
You know, so it was really, really, really like not valuable. So at that point in time, this is like there's like random people who like woke up and checked their old bank account one day and they realized they had 17 Bitcoin left over and now it's worth, you know, $20,000 a piece.
Right.
And you're like, holy cow. Yeah. What happened? So for me though, this is like this thing. So like I was a kid, I didn't have like my own credit card yet. So I was always on these forums, but I never actually had it myself.
Okay.
Because I just like, you know, I didn't have a way to purchase it. So mostly I was just using the assumed values to better inform myself on how well my trades were doing inside of the game. Yeah. But then, so as time went on though, it, you know, like it started picking up like a little bit more steam and like a Bitcoin could be worth hundreds of dollars a piece or whatever. And then there was like a spike with it. And it was kind of like, it went up to like $3,000 or something. It was like, whoa, like, but then immediately you're like, I missed it. I missed the boat. Like it's over.
Right, like
it's
that's
over.
it.
Yeah. And I think it was around this time. So it had sat at that number for like a long time. And then it started shooting up again, I think back in like 2017. Do you remember this? Like the first go around, it was like that was really when I think I really like understood it slightly better. And again, at this point in time, I bought some and I was like, cool. It went up to like $19,000 per thing. And I just sold it right away and was like, okay, that was cool. That was fun. You know, but like, whatever. It was like this sort of like flash in a pan type of thing. And I was like, that was, again, it was almost a meme. Everybody was leaned in. Everybody was having fun with it, but it was almost like, remember Bitcoin like 3 years ago when that was a thing? And then this year it did it again.
Right.
You know, and this year it took off. You know, went up to like $60,000. So now, like where $100 or $3,000 or $20,000 felt like the absurd limit of it, now you're looking at it and you're like, did I miss the
boat again?
Like, and like
I missed it.
This is exactly it though. It's like the number of different times that I was 100% sure that I missed the boat.
Right.
And I've been like, well, it's not even worth doing it at this point. Like I may as well. And then it like goes up again. You're like, oh my gosh, like it could have worked again. So anyway, this has been like my weird thing with it where I'm like attempting. So this go around, the most recent one, I was like, okay, I'll buy some, not a lot, but I have some. And, then it like recently crashed again. And so now I'm sitting
Very
there.
volatile.
I know. Yeah, it is. So now I'm sitting there with it and it becomes this great big question of like, what do I do? What do I, because like every single time I've been wrong. What are my instincts? Do the opposite.
Right.
Silencio Bruno.
And that's from Luca.
I know.
Wow. We made a couple of Luca videos this week.
We sure did.
Yeah.
I thought they were fun.
They were fun. The one that came out yesterday about Alberto's father. Top drawer. Felt very like old school SCB. The way like even as we were like stumbling into these random discoveries as we were writing that one.
Yes.
Like, oh wait, no way, no, it's not, dude. Look at the definition of this thing. Look, what?
Yes. Yeah. It was like you kept like peeling back the layers and just being more and more and more excited over and over and over again. You're like, no, but it worked. It worked so well. It worked so well.
But that's the opposite of how you're feeling about Bitcoin.
Yeah, that is the opposite of how I'm feeling.
Yeah,
Like,
you're not like peeling back the layers. You're like, I should invest. I should look. Oh my God, I should. I should.
Right. Yeah. So, and now it's just like you're sitting there and you're like, I'm just going to cut my losses. Like, whatever, it's fine. Like it was fun while it lasted. It was cool to be a part of it. It was fun to like, be able to talk to that guy at the party, which didn't really happen because of COVID anyway. But like just to like be along for the ride basically. But then there's that other part of me. It's like, what if 4 years from now it does the same thing again?
What if? And then if I've been investing a little bit every month for 4 years, then think. I've been doing the responsible thing the whole time, but if it's gone, then it'll be completely wasting money.
It's like, is a lottery ticket a good investment? It's like, it's a great investment if you win.
Yeah.
Like, otherwise it's a really, really, really bad one.
Yeah, it's basically a 100% net loss mostly.
Yeah, exactly. So anyway, that's been my relationship with it, and it's been like just on my mind lately. And the way that I think about this podcast, I think it's very interesting because sometimes I feel like we talk about the same things like a lot for a stretch of time. Mm-hmm. And it's kind of like this is a running gag for like 6 episodes in a row, but then we sort of like forget about it and it kind of like just fades into the past.
Yeah.
And so I was like, I feel like I should bring this up so that it's like part of the zeitgeist of this era of the pop. It's like, it's something I'm thinking about. So I want to make sure that in the documentation of my life that this podcast it's there.
It's there. You can be like, this is when I was into crypto.
Exactly. Yeah. So like right now, it might not be that much fun, but like 8 years from now, I might look back at this podcast and be like, oh, I forgot about that.
8 years from now, when you're doing your big popcorn culture re-listen binge.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Exactly. Right. Like, I mean, surely that's what will happen at some point, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah. That's what I'm
go back and be like, man, we are like 500 episodes in now. Better go back to the beginning.
See what we missed.
Who knows?
What did we used to be like?
Yeah.
Did we step on our own toes? Did we put our foot in our mouth?
That would be interesting to go back and re-listen to stuff from like many years ago and be like, oh boy, what was I talking about?
Oh, I know. Yeah,
what was I talking about?
Right. I mean, that's why I don't go back to the notes in my phone anymore. For a while, I was having a blast with it because it was kind of like, oh, what was college me thinking about like on June 3rd, 2011, and then it's like June 3rd me. How could you?
Why would you write that down? Why would you put it in writing?
Delete it.
Delete now. Present me. Delete.
Right. Okay.
Let me tell you about a note I wrote on my phone, Ben.
Do it too. Yeah.
Are you ready? So I was having this weird realization last week because Beth has been getting into smoothies in the morning for breakfast.
Yeah.
Very healthy way to start the day.
Certainly.
Yeah, throwing some protein powder. We went to a wedding a couple weeks ago, and our dad was telling Beth about the smoothie he's been doing every morning, and she was like, tell me all the things, tell me the ingredients. And we've been trying it out. It's super good, very fun. But she made me one the first morning, and I was like, oh, thanks so much. Then the next time she asked me if I would want a smoothie, like should she always just like make extra? Or like, should I make double batches so you can have some? Because you seem to really like it. And I was like, yes, please do that. Because I really like smoothies.
Sure.
Right. Well, the next day, come downstairs and I can see that Beth is drinking a smoothie and there's a blender in the sink. And I'm like, oh boy, did you make me one? She's like, oh no, I didn't make one. I was like, ah. And it was like this like extreme sadness.
Oh no.
And I was like, but you said you were going to make double batches. And it just like, it hit me in a very strong way. Like, I cannot believe, not because like Beth didn't make it, like it wasn't that big a deal and it wasn't even that hard to like make another smoothie. Sure. I was like, why am I feeling so like extra sad about missing out on this?
More than anything else, it sounds like you're being introspective about the situation. It's like I had like a borderline visceral reaction to this in a way, like by way of exclusive sadness.
Yes.
And it's like, why so much emotion?
Exactly. I was confused as I ruminated on it, perhaps.
Way to go.
Yeah. About like what caused me to feel like such disappointment in the moment over something that like if it was any other thing, I don't think I'd be there. But I gave it a think, and I think here's where I got.
Okay, lay it on me.
That was a weird sentence.
No, I thought it was great. You nailed it. Stuck to the landing.
Okay, so when we were kids, let me know do you remember when Mom would make smoothies?
Yes, I do remember this. Yeah, I feel like she had a protein powder for a while called Shackley. That was the brand. Do you remember that?
I do not.
Oh my gosh. Well, yeah, that was what she had, and I do remember like a brief stint of it.
Okay.
But not an enormous amount about it. I can remember like the protein container for some reason. Like
Okay.
that's what springs to brain.
I remember specifically 2 things about it. One was this particular package of like frozen strawberries she had to get.
Okay.
It was like this tiny little like rectangular package, maybe like an inch thick, and all of the strawberries were just like stuck together.
Yeah. I do remember this now that you say it.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. And I remember that she would say that the package of strawberries in particular, and maybe this wasn't true, I can't imagine how it is true, was particularly like hard to find at the store and kind of expensive.
Okay.
Which to me, it seems that probably the protein was the more expensive thing.
Possibly.
But
yeah.
anyway, this was the message that was given to me as a child, or at least the one that I remember as an adult.
Okay.
So the end result, though, was that the smoothies were really rare treats
Okay.
in between. That's the second thing I remember. Like every time mom would make one, I think mom was trying to be really healthy, but it must have like cost a lot of money to make any specific smoothie because of like the protein powder in it or something.
Okay.
Or because then, if you have to make one for yourself, not a big deal. If you have to make one for you and me and you and like Tyler, then
Sure.
all of a sudden you go through the ingredients really fast.
Right. And you're absolutely correct. And I even feel like at home when I make them for myself now, it is that same way. It's like, if I'm making one for myself, it's like, okay, like these materials will last me about 2 weeks.
Right.
But then it is like, if you're making like a double batch, it's like, well, yeah, now I only got like a week's worth of materials.
Right.
And immediately you're like, I've got to go get more stuff. Otherwise I'm not going to be able to make it.
Right. So it became like this very rare treat. Like whenever mom would actually have all the stuff to make a smoothie, like, oh my God, because I remember loving it. Like it was so good. Like smoothies are such a unique, like, food item anyway. Like I don't know, it's like I don't know, nothing else is like a smoothie.
It's like a sockwood.
It's like a sockwood, yeah, but it's like all fruity and it's like really healthy for you for the most part.
Yeah, but see, here's like kind of the funny thing about it. There's like a smoothie shop in Roanoke called Elderberries.
Yeah.
And I feel like there was a period of time where it like almost became, and maybe for you this was like a huge treat, but it was like, I remember just being like, this is so overrated. Like I am like, I think especially because you would go to the orthodontist to like have your like braces worked on.
Yes.
And I feel like very frequently you guys would like leave the orthodontist office, and because you're like your mouth hurt from the braces,
right,
you would go and get something. You would get a smoothie because it's like an easy
thing to like drink and
exactly,
to eat, yeah.
But I remember this being like, or the my perception as your younger brother was like as if this was like a big thing, and I remember just being like not even remotely jealous. It was
man.
It was like, suit yourself, like go right ahead.
Well, maybe you're right, because you're right. I'm thinking specifically of elderberries. Like, yeah, I would like. It always felt like an enormous treat, like to go there.
Sure.
Because like, especially when we were kids, we didn't live near it, so you had to like be nearby and then have mom decide
that it was like that we
like,
could do it.
That we
yeah.
could do it, and but it created this very weird relationship I think I had with this particular food product.
Okay.
Where like, it's actually really good for you. Like they're just healthy for the most part. Like,
Sure,
especially,
yeah.
and you can make them healthy and they still taste really good.
Yep.
But it was like always treated as this like very rare thing, and it seemed like asking for one was sort of like, no, you remember the other thing about elderberries, and it's true to this day if you're listening, kind of pricey.
Yes, that's what I was gonna say. Like, talk about making or smoothies being expensive to make at home. Buying them from somewhere, it's like,
yeah, ridiculous. Still true elderberries, although I still love your food. But anyway, so like it felt like a little bit guilty, like even asking to go get it, because this is like this being kind of being like a little greedy there, asking for that kind of treat. Like I don't know about that. Like on special occasions maybe, but
we're big time lavish. We're talking now.
Yeah, this is kind of a lavish thing to ask for. I don't know about that, and it's like I can't even ask mom to like buy the stuff because that's kind of expensive. Like it got like put on this pedestal or something.
For sure.
But I remember when we were living together, like all of a sudden, I had my own money, and I was really just making breakfast for me in the morning. And like I would go to the grocery store and I would just buy smoothie supplies, and I would make it just make it for myself. But like the entire time, every single morning when I would make one, it would be like, I am so getting away with something right now. Like it felt like it had become like taboo. Like this is like, look at this. Mm-hmm. I am like doing this under people's noses. Can you imagine? Like, oh, they don't even know I'm having smoothies right now.
To my heart's content.
Exactly. Like, is it? But then I'm like, this is such a stupid way to think because like there's nothing that special about it, and it is healthy, and it is like even bordering on like a responsible breakfast.
Yeah, right. Like I was gonna say, it's like you're thinking of it as this right. I'm getting to like treat myself because I can.
Yes,
and it's almost like there are probably other people where it would be like, if I could just get myself into a smoothie routine, I'd be great.
Exactly.
I eat a bowl of cereal every day with the crunchy marshmallows. Like,
right.
Yeah,
but so like this is the note I wrote down. It was like a perfectly good, even healthy decision I somehow feel guilty about.
That is hilarious.
I know.
You should free yourself of this mental cage that you have built.
I know it was baffling to me, and I think that's why I was so upset when Beth didn't make me swim. I was like, "You what?
It's like
you had Christmas without me? What are you talking about?"
Right, yeah.
Like, no.
I can't have it. I
cannot believe you just did that to me.
Let's make more.
Yeah, basically.
Stat pronto.
But it honestly reminded me a lot of that. It was like the same. Do you remember a couple weeks ago when I was talking about following Steven on the bike, and it was always like, oh, like look at Steven just going the easy way up the routes.
Yeah, and then
like,
right, and like you were saying how you felt guilty like borrowing his line like by way of how he was like going up everything.
Not guilty for borrowing it. It felt freeing to like see someone else do it because my brain is like, you can't do it that way. That's the like easy way. And it's like, it's not the easy way. It's the smart way. Like, why are you feeling guilty about taking the smart way?
Right.
Like, I don't know. I think we've talked about this with the mail too. It's like, for some reason, like opening the mail, that's like smart and responsible, and like not doing it is the thing that's bad. But like my brain is like, that's the smart way. Like and I don't know what, I need someone to like diagnose this for me. Like, why am I feeling bad about healthy, smart things?
It's really odd to me. It's really odd because there has like, I feel like growing up and having known you forever, my entire life, it's almost like I felt like when you were being designed, you know, like from Seoul, like up in the place or whatever,
up in the Great Before.
The Great Before. In my like the way that I've always looked at you is as if somebody was like looking at the gigantic list of responsibility, like all these like little like, you know, the silver kill switchy type things, and they just took their arms and went like, and just like they like wiped all of them, and they were just like, yeah, responsible on everything. So it sounds to me like because that is how I've always felt, or like having watched you, is that the responsible decisions that you make just do seem to come so naturally to you. Like there's like, I feel like a lot of times the idea of something being responsible, it's like deters me from it. I'm like, ugh, responsible. It's like, I'm going to do something else just because.
Right.
Just because I'm not responsible.
Right.
You know, like
I know what the right thing to do is, and that just seems boring.
Right. Yeah. Or it's like I had to teach myself the right thing to do, and it required added discipline to continue to do that thing. You know, whereas I always felt like it would be like as a kid, for example, like mom would always give us like, well, at a certain age, she would give us $100 for our birthday, like a $100 bill. And that was like our birthday present.
No way.
And for me, that usually was a $100 bill and a coupon to go to Walmart to spend it, you know? And it was like,
coupons are another great example of this. Like I would feel guilty. Like I was like using like clipping coupon. Like this is like cheating.
Oh, sure. Yeah, I understand that too. Let me come back to that in just a second, because I have another feeling about coupons as well. But so like on the flip end, I feel like you would get yours, and we had these cow wallets to go with our cow bowls.
We did have cow wallets.
Was yours green?
Mine was purple.
Purple. Okay, mine was green then.
Yeah. It was Velcro.
Yeah, it was like the stickiest Velcro ever.
That money was safe in that wallet.
It was.
Yeah.
It was. I mean, it was like a lockbox. But like I feel like you would get yours, and your birthday's in February, and it would be like August, and you know we would go into the store to like, you know, I don't know, because mom said we could go buy like Pokemon cards or something, and you would still have the $100 bill, and it was like, what?
This was always true, but like I also part of that is sort of from like my very much not wanting to like have a job, like being very resistant to like having a job in high school or something.
Okay.
You know, so to me it was like I would get money. It was like, good, now I have it. I don't really need to use it for very much, but when I have it, I'll need it, and I'll just make it last, and that's how I'll avoid needing to work for money. Is just like very sparingly spending it.
So okay, so your whole idea was that like, okay, I don't want to work at all. So what I'm going to do is just continue to hold this. That way, I like if something arises, it's like, haha, I made the decision before, and now I have it, and now I don't have to work.
Right.
Yeah. Whereas I think my brain was the complete opposite, which was that like I so enjoyed having resources that it was like the day I could get a job, I was working.
Right.
You know, it was like mom and dad had to like drive me to work for my first several days because I hadn't quite like hit that threshold to actually have your license yet.
Right.
So they were like picking me up to and fro. But where am I going with this? Yeah, but so like talking about these like responsible decisions, like it almost makes me feel like I am right. There was somebody in the grate before who hit all the switches, but in the process they like just like ticked a couple of them the other way, and it's like smoothies. It's like he's not gonna be responsible with smoothies. Like that's just
This kid's gonna get out of control.
yeah. Watch him. Like when he's around smoothies, this is the area.
Bad news.
Right. So anyway, that was I feel like that's always been you. It's just like Johnny responsibility. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Okay.
But then speaking of coupons, because we were talking about that, so my relationship with coupons is this. It's like there's a huge part of me. It's like, okay, like I would totally like I could even get into couponing as like a hobby,
right?
Because this would be like, okay, like savings, how great. So at one point in time, I was like, okay, I'll inquire about getting a Sunday paper delivered to my home.
Okay.
And with that Sunday paper, like that's the one that comes with all the coupons. So like I'll go through and cut like all the coupons out, and then like I'll be able to have those savings that I can then take to the grocery store and be like, boom, I'm saving money on everything all the time. But my like great big mental argument was to the tune of the newspaper costs money. And that means that at this point in time, if I'm not couponing, then like I'm losing the system. Like it's like as if like I want couponing to be this extra thing I could do that could save me money, but not something that would work against me if I didn't do it. And if I'm paying for that Sunday paper and it costs me $7 a week to get that Sunday paper,
then you got to be making up $7.
Then you have to be making up $7. So then all of a sudden it's like the couponing is not like something I get to do for fun. It is now a responsibility.
Right, because you're not only if you're only using the paper for couponing,
which is that is the only thing I would use it for.
So
yes.
yeah, because if you're getting other value out of the newspaper by like reading the stories or something.
Nope, not at all.
Okay.
That was 100%. It was like I want the Sunday paper and only the Sunday paper because that's the one that comes with the coupons. And that was like,
gotcha.
And so now what I'm looking at on a monthly basis is $28 in Sunday papers, and it's like. Like when I think about it like that, I'm like, well, how much savings am I actually going to get? Am I going to be saving $7 a week? And the answer is probably, like, if you're diligent with this, absolutely. Like coupons can be an incredibly effective way to cut down on your grocery bill. But then I also start doing like this like cost analysis. Mm-hmm. So it's also like, well, then there's also like my time associated with this.
There's
so
that,
it's like
you have to like spend the time to clip the coupons.
Right.
And how much is that time worth?
Right. And what other type of classic irresponsible Ben decision am I making during the week that's just completely washing this particular
thing? Smoothies you could have made.
Many, or possibly even just one from elderberries.
Yeah.
$28.
There we go.
There.
They're not that expensive.
They're not that expensive. Yeah. Poor elderberries. They're like, thanks for the shout out, but also kind of raked us across the coals, guys.
Well, just calling it like I see it.
There you go.
Calling it like I see it.
Okay, so
get the Mads mango though. That's my favorite.
Okay. Yeah. I don't think I have a favorite.
Well, that's the one I've been getting for years.
What I've always felt is that if you put a banana into a smoothie, is that it just tastes like banana.
No.
That's not true.
Yeah, banana's just like texture,
Okay.
Yeah.
It's just like pureed moosh.
Pureed moosh, exactly.
Love it. Okay, so let's follow up a little bit from last week because I got a bunch of emails about one of our topics from last week, and it was the discussion about forgiveness.
Oh, well,
people
we can absolutely continue to talk about that. I think as I was listening back to it, even as I was saying it, or even as we were talking about it last week, I was like, I'm doing a poor job of explaining that. So I actually had a different note on my phone.
Wow.
Because you were talking about like or when I was trying to explain how like forgiveness could be good, not just for the other person, for you, but also for you, it seemed like it was maybe that point was tripping you up a little bit.
Sure.
But here's basically what I meant by that was that like typically if you have to forgive someone, it's because you're holding on to a lot of anger at that person for
Right.
whatever they've done that you need to forgive them for. And that is what you're able to let go of through forgiveness, is like letting go of that anger, because that's what you're working through. So at least you can get that out of your system.
Right. Well, and here's the thing about it too, is that like, as I was listening back to our own episode, and as we've talked about it more, and as people have emailed me, it's like, I don't know that I realized for so long how incredibly complicated, and like, it feels like the wrong word to say like serious, but like it is not an easy thing to do for like larger problems.
Truly.
Because like you can say the words, like you can even like come to the decision where it's like I want to tell you like that you are forgiven. But the interesting thing about it that I was doing some reading and some information that people were sending back to me as well, is that saying the words in a lot of ways actually can be a huge step in the process.
Oh, okay.
It's like when you say it, it doesn't always necessarily mean that you have now completely like left it behind, and that there's no emotional baggage attached to it at all.
Well,
that it's like I'm letting it go entire.
Well, that's the thing, is that there's the I've heard the phrase a lot, like forgive and forget.
Yeah.
And as if like the two should go hand in hand.
Right.
But that is very not true. Like forgiving is not necessarily forgetting.
Exactly.
You know, it's like you can forgive someone and also keep them at a distance and not give them an opportunity to harm you again.
Absolutely.
You know?
Yeah.
You're forgiven. I do not hold anything against you anymore. That doesn't mean it's not smart for, you know, like, I don't know. If you are robbed by somebody and, you know, you forgive them, like, and that doesn't mean they're invited to your next party.
Exactly.
Necessarily.
Right. Well, and this was a really integral part of it, is they say, at least what I was reading about forgiveness, was this idea of like, by saying it, it's almost like sort of like your commitment to working on the process of actually like emotionally letting go. And they said that like, as you're progressing through this series of steps, it's almost like at some point in time, by having said the words and kind of like, you know, maybe like freeing that person, it also opens your mind up a little bit more to be able to see the situation a little bit more from their perspective. And there is that kind of sense of like understanding that it must be something about this person's circumstances that may have led them to having done this thing, which in some manner has harmed you enough to where forgiveness has been involved.
Sure.
And so like a sort of like an interesting thing for me is that I've had maybe the bad luck, like very early on in year one, I made a video about how my lawnmower got stolen, and then I moved and I had bought the exact same lawnmower again and it also got stolen. And so now I'm on like my third lawnmower when I probably should have just been on my first one, especially because like the way that I buy things is like, I'm going to buy it once so I never have to do it again.
Buy it nice or buy it twice.
I'm going to buy the good one.
Now you're like, I bought it nice thrice times.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So it still rhymes, which is good.
Yeah.
It's very reassuring to me. So at the time though, I remember like when that first lawnmower was stolen from me, for one, it was at a period of time in my life where like I didn't have enough money to go buy another one. Like that wasn't even an option for me. It was like, now I have to figure out how to mow my lawn when I don't have a lawnmower, because
Right.
like I have to wait till I can buy one again. And like the anger inside of me was like, it was so immense. It was like I was calling pawn shops. You know, I think I filed like a police report over it. Like I did all these things, and like in my mind, it was like I wanted, like, I don't know, vengeance probably feels way too aggressive of a word, but like it was like I really wanted to like solve it. It was like, why did you do this to me? Like, if you had known me, would it have like changed your mind? Like, would you have not done it if like you knew that I was like a nice person or something? Would that have made a difference? And so I remember struggling with it, and it was like, it was something that like weighed on me for a long time, and I was always frustrated. And then the next time when it happened again, I remember the same thing. I was like, I wish I had a camera, because I wish I could have seen it and known like how this happened. Like, what did they do? Like, what did it take gumption? Like, did they roll up like with a truck and like run over and grab it and throw it in the back of the truck and like run off? And again, I was like, I need to know. And then here recently, just a couple weeks ago, I had somebody go through my car, like outside of my house. Like I had left it unlocked overnight, live in a neighborhood, and somebody had come through and
pulling door handles
and took like cash and stuff. And so when I got to this point, and it was very interesting that we ended up talking about forgiveness last week. Because I don't know if this is exactly it in the same regard, because it's not like a very interpersonal thing. It's just, I am now like less cash because someone took it from me. But the thing that really came through this time was like, it was that like empathizing with the situation. It was like it hurts me to think that there's someone who like needed to do this. It's like there is a set of life circumstances that has sent them down a road to where at night they go out and they check door handles to maybe find cash dollars. And I think that like my empathy that came from that was I mean, it was like forgiveness on fast forward, I think, in a lot of ways, because
you don't like know who it was. You never will.
I don't know who it was. It wasn't like a personal attack on me. It wasn't something, it wasn't like, like an enemy or an adversary or something like that. This was just like a person who did a thing. And it also, there's the capacity that the losing of, $8 out of my center console or whatever, doesn't like affect me in a massive way, like it did with the lawnmower when it first happened, where I couldn't go and buy another one.
Yeah.
So like I couldn't forgive the person who stole. I didn't even know who they were, but I couldn't forgive that person for like months because I was just so mad that this thing I just bought got taken from me, and I was really frustrated with it. And with this time, I think the difference was, I immediately jumped to empathizing. It was like, man, like that sucks. And there's probably even a part of me that was just like grateful for my own situation, in the same regard. So it's like in an odd way, I was like, just, it's like I wasn't even like upset that it happened. It was like I was able to just like forgive this person like by the time I like sat in my car and buckled my seatbelt.
Right.
It's just like, well, I hate that for them. Like that is tough. This isn't something they took from me. It's like a difficulty they face. Does that make sense?
It does make sense. Yeah.
And not to say that means that anybody who does something negative to anybody else, it's for valid reasoning, or that you need to forgive them just because there may have been circumstances that led to it. Like that's not what I'm saying. And
and it doesn't mean that there's like shouldn't be consequences for like wrongdoing or anything.
Certainly.
Yeah.
I think for me, it's mostly just like, I think on that path to forgiveness, maybe even like after you've said the words to somebody, that could be a very big step that comes in its wake. It's like, okay, I've let go of some of that anger, like you're talking about, and now that I've let that anger go away, that cloud go away, now I can maybe start to look at it objectively and assess like what led this person to this decision that they did to me that I need to forgive them to begin with.
Yeah.
So that was sort of like my expansion from last week, and a bunch of people sent in just really fascinating stories about like a variety of different moments that they've had in their life and how they've managed it and stuff like that. So I also attempted to dilute some of their ideas into what I just reiterated as well.
Well, excellent. I'm glad you got a bunch of stories. I would like to see some of those. I reckon that'd be good.
I reckon
I'd like to see some of these stories. I will say my final note here on forgiveness, because Beth and I were also talking about it a little bit last week after we talked about it on the pop, is that I think what makes it a very difficult prospect for a lot of people is that if you are like in such a position, it normally means someone has like wronged you in some way.
Yeah.
And in doing so, it gives you a little bit of like power over them.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like you will, like, no matter like if someone has done something terrible to you, then no matter what, you've at least always got that on them. You know, but if you forgive them, then you don't anymore.
Right? Like that power, like you are relinquishing that power.
You are relinquishing, what feels like that power. And it can, I think for a lot of people, it can feel like it might be seen as very like weak or something. Like, you just going to let them walk all over you? Like, they did this to you and you just let them off?
Right.
And it's like, I can see like where you might interpret that as some sort of like why you might fear that, but it is like my genuine belief that it could not be more the opposite of that. Like, I do not think there is anything more powerful than being able to forgive someone. And like, I really mean that. And I hope someone could take that away and look at a situation in their life and think, can I get over this? Can I start to think about it?
Yeah, or maybe even that possibility that like it's like is there any part of you that is withholding the forgiveness because of that granted power that comes with it? And it's like is it, like if you were to really examine yourself, is there any part of you that feels like enough time has passed? Like things have changed. Like it's like at this point in time now the only reason I haven't granted this is because it's almost like now you are in an odd kind of debt to this situation, especially if it's someone who continues to be like a regular person in your life, which could be a really interesting way to look at it. And then so the other thing that I was thinking about with it was there was my assessment looking back onto my life and being like, okay, like is there like a person that like I could go and grant this to? And then the other question was almost like, is there ever anything that like keeps you awake at night? And you're like, there's like something that you did, or like you put your foot in your mouth once upon a time, or you said the wrong thing, or you were insensitive to a situation, and you're like, I cannot believe I said that.
Right. On the flip side, are there people you need to apologize to?
Exactly. It was like, yeah, is there anybody that you would seek forgiveness from? And then the other part of my brain is almost like, okay, there's the part of me that's like, okay, well, what if I felt really guilty about this, but it didn't really stick with them at all, you know? And you're like, it's like, well, then if I bring it up, it's like I'm just bringing something up, like, you know, for no reason.
Right. Yeah.
And it's like, maybe they don't even care. But then there's another part of my brain that's like, but maybe they do care.
But you still care.
But then also there's that thought of like, okay, but it's been years. And if I bring it up now, it's like, am I rustling up like bad feelings?
Right.
You know, and it's like now I've brought up like a negative thing that we now have to discuss because I brought it up to seek forgiveness or to attempt to explain myself for like a past action.
Right.
So I don't know.
Or is it just like I haven't even seen this person in 10 years. Does time heal all wounds? Or
yeah, like that, and that is a big question too, because it's like I do feel like the older I get, and in a lot of ways, like, you know, the more that you see somebody like maybe unexpectedly passionate about something, or emotional about something, it's like I think that what I have started to realize is that they are carrying a piece of that past with them, you know, or like resentment or insecurity or something. And it's like what I would love to do. I think of it as this like super tight knot. And it's like, I would love to untangle that so that you can focus on being you, and not being burdened by whatever these things of the past may be.
Right.
And so that's the double-edged sword of it to me is sort of that question of like, if you go back, is it even worth going back addressing this? Has it been long enough? Is the statute of limitations of social interactions over?
Right.
And for me, you know, I've talked a couple of times in the past couple of weeks about like my heavyweights person, you know, and it's like this person who I had like an unresolved situation with, that where it just would have been like, you know, like a gut curl to run into them like out in the wild.
Your situation in particular, I bet maybe not like the specifics of, but I bet there's some shared experience where I bet from your perspective you felt maybe like they should apologize to you, but on their end I bet they felt you should apologize to them, in which case it's like, I don't know, like they, you know,
You're not wrong.
Yeah.
Like the situation is not cut and dry.
Yeah.
Like, it's not like there was a situation where there was $100 left on a table and that $100 went missing and everybody knew whose $100 it was and which who took it.
Yeah.
Like it's not like a situation quite in that capacity. But you're not wrong. Like I do feel like there is that sense of like it's like, well, I don't want to go and resolve it because I also feel like you owe me one.
Right.
But on the other end of that, so I was when the situation happened, I was 19. And that it's like I'm 31 now, and it's like you look back on it, you're like, it was so long ago,
right?
Like, and it's like I was a different person then, like we've moved past it. We're all in different stages of our life, But the weird thing about it with time, especially like if you didn't have like a continued relationship with the particular person, is that it's almost like the situation. Like it was like a car that broke down on a road and you never went back to get it and it's still there.
Right.
And it's like you're aware of the fact like every once in a while you might have to go back down that road and see it and realize like, man, I really need to go get that car. I need to get it to like move from that space.
Right.
And so I don't know. It's like I feel like the more we've talked about it, the more encouraged I've been to potentially have that conversation.
Well, good for you.
I know.
For you.
It could be very interesting.
All right. Well, if you have a story of forgiveness, of times where maybe you offered it or it was offered to you, because I know I too have just benefited from being forgiven in the past as well.
Most certainly. Yeah. So if you guys have any stories like that and you want to send them in, or if there's even like a particular situation that you're struggling with that you would be okay with us discussing here on the pop, we can certainly, omit your names or anything like that. Certainly send those into popcornculturepod@gmail.com. Otherwise, if you have any other feedback, you can send it to the same place. We're over on Reddit. We're on Twitter. And especially if you want to support us over on Patreon, you can do so at patreon.com/popcornculture. We do, of course, we're in the final days now of the opportunity to get in on the Q2 piece of exclusive merch, which is going to be our One True Host Popcorn Culture Trophy plush.
That's right. You can see it sitting right here next to me if you're watching along on YouTube. If not, it is just a perfect plush recreation of the One True Host Popcorn Culture Trophy. Also, I will mention that today is the last Friday of June as this is coming out, which means immediately following the premiere on YouTube, if you happen to be watching, we'll be doing our
live Q&A.
Yes, monthly live Q&A with Ben and Jay, which is available for patrons.
Yes, exactly. Again, patreon.com/popcornculture. Otherwise, until next week.
Pop, pop.